नमः। श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य सुतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining. So we were discussing Canto 4, chapter 29, text 47 onwards. Today we'll discuss. So just quick recap. In this chapter, Narad Muni started summarizing about the story of Puranjana and Puranjini, how it relates to Jiva itself. So Prachinavari asked the question stating that could you please summarize, because I could not understand completely the purport of your story. And then Narad Muni explained about the Puranjana being the living entity, the Jiva enters to the 9 gates of body, like that. And then he also goes around that how the Jiva wanders between many different species and different planets, performing pious activity and sinful activity, goes around this cycle of birth and death continuously, like a dog. And because of this engagement with 3 modes, there is no escape from this material world. And then Narad Muni gives the solution, saying that the bhakti or awakening of Krishna consciousness is the way, surrendering to Krishna is the way, hearing about the Lord is the way by which we can actually cut down this cycle of birth and death. And very beautifully he says that no one who hears Krishna Katha, there is a way out to the spiritual world. And then he also started speaking about the rarity of the knowledge, because this knowledge what he's giving is all have said the same, Lord Brahma, Shiva, Kumara, as many others, right? So then he started talking about the karmis. The karmis, they do not know the Lord. Even the jnanis, they do not know about the Lord completely, but the devotee knows the Lord. That the last discussion we had from 46. He says, when a person is fully engaged in devotional service, he is favored by the Lord, who bestows his causeless mercy. At such a time, the awakened devotee gives up all material activities and ritualistic performances mentioned in the Vedas. Yeah. Okay, let us see it from next verse 47 onwards. Tasmat karmasu varhishman अज्ञानात् अर्थकाशिषु मर्थदृष्टिं कृतः श्रोत्र स्पर्शीव अपृष्ट वस्तुषु. Sorry, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. My dear King Brahishman, you should never, out of ignorance, take to the Vedic rituals or to fruitive activity, which may be pleasing to hear about or which may appear to be the goal of self-interest. You should never take these to be the ultimate goal of life.
Yeah. So even Narad Muni is saying here clearly that Vedic rituals or fruitive activities, basically the karma kanda activities, they may be pleasing to us, but these are never the ultimate goal of life. These are the starting stone, stepping stone toward the higher goal. Prabhupada's quote from Bhagavad Gita 2:42-43. Yam imam puspitam vacham pravadantye अविपष्टिता वेदवादरतः पार्थ नान्यत् अस्तिति वादिना कामात्मना स्वर्गपरा जन्म कर्म फलस्प्रदाम क्रिया विशेष बाहुलाम bahulam bhogaishvara gatim prati. Men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommends various fruitive activities for elevation to heavenly planets, results good worth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life, they say that there is nothing more than this. So Krishna said, don't get attached to these flowery words of Vedas. Yeah. So generally people are very much attracted to the fruitive activities sanctioned in the Vedic rituals. One may be very much attracted to becoming elevated to heavenly planets by performing great sacrifices, like those of King Varisman. Srinada Muni wanted to stop King Varisman from engaging in such fruitive activities. Therefore, he is now telling him directly, don't be interested in such temporary benefits. In modern civilization, people are very much interested in exploiting the resources of material nature through the methods of science. Indeed, this is considered advancement. This is not actually advancement, however, but is simply pleasing to hear. Although we are advancing according to such concocted method, we are forgetting our real purpose. Bhaktivinoda Thakur therefore says, Jada Vidya Yata Maya Vaibhava Tumara Bhajane Badha. Materialistic studies are the glare of Maya only, for they are the absolute obstacle to the spiritual progress. The temporary comforts of life experienced either in this planet or on the other planets are all to be taken as illusory because they do not touch the real purpose of life. The real purpose of life is to go back home, back to Godhead. Ignorant of the real purpose of life, people take to either gross materialistic activities or ritualistic activities. King Barisman is herein requested not to be attached to such activities. In the Vedas, it is stated that the performance of sacrifice is the actual purpose of life. A section of Indian population known as the Arya Samajists lay too much stress on the sacrificial portion of the Vedas. These verses indicates, however, that such sacrifices are to be taken as illusory. Actually, the aim of human life should be God realization or Krishna consciousness. The Vedic performances are of course very glittering and pleasing to hear about, but they do not serve the real purpose of life. Yeah, text 48. Swayam lokam na vidoste vai yatra devo janardana ahur dhumra dhiyo vedam sakarmakam atah atatvidha. Yes, Tamil Sili Mataji.
Yes. Those who are less intelligent accept the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies as all in all. They do not know that the purpose of Vedas is to understand one's own home, where the Supreme Personality of Godhead lives. Not being interested in their real home, they are illusioned and search after the other homes.
Generally, people are not aware of their interest in life. Yes, actually, this is a fact. The real is to return to home, go to back to Godhead. People do not know about their real home in the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, there are many Vaikuntha planets, and the topmost planet is Krishna Loka, Goloka Vrindavan. Despite the so-called advancement of civilization, there is no information of Vaikuntha Lokas, the spiritual planets. At the present moment, so-called advanced civilized men are trying to go to other planets, but they do not know that even if they go to the highest planetary system, Brahmaloka, they have to come back again to this planet. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 8.1.16. Abrahma bhuvana loka punar avartino Arjuna. Mam upete tu konteya punarjamana vidyate. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place, isn't it? But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. If one goes to the highest planetary system within this universe, he still has to return after the effects of pious activities are finished. Yeah? Space vehicles may go very high in the sky, but as soon as their fuel is finished, they have to return to this earthly planet. All these activities are performed in illusion. The real attempt should now be to return home back to Godhead. The process is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. Yanti madhyajino pimam. Those who engage in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead return home back to Godhead. Human life is very valuable and one should not waste it in vain exploring the other planets. One should be intelligent enough to return to Godhead. One should be interested in information about the spiritual Vaikuntha planet, and in particular the planet known as Goloka Vrindavan, and should learn the art of going there by the simple method of devotional service, beginning with hearing Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. This is also confirmed in the Srimad Bhagavatam 12.351. Very, very beautiful and important verses, And many Prabhupada quote many times this verse. Kalir dosha nijerajan asti hai ekan mahan gunan kirtanad eva krishnasya mukta sangha param prajet. One can go to supreme planet Param Brajet simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. This is specially meant for the people of this age, Kalir Dosa Nidhe. It is special advantage for this age that simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, one can become purified of all material contamination and return home, back to Godhead. There is no doubt about this. Yeah. So, Narada Muni explains about the problems. He explained about the solution at the bhakti, and then now he's going back again that we should not be attached to karma kanda activities. And these words as says, people that do not know this. Yeah, those who are less intelligent, they accept Vedic ritualistic ceremony as all in all. But they do not know the purpose of the Vedas to understand or find out their own home. Yeah. Okay, text 49. Astiryadarvai pragag argai karshyenna shiti mandalam stabado brihad vadanmani karma naivashiyat param tat karma harito samyak shavidyatan matiraya. Rupesh Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, I think Prabhuji is just listening today.
Oh, I didn't see that. Okay, no problem. Una Mataji?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. My dear king, the entire world is covered with the sharp points of kusha grass, and on the strength of this you have become proud because you have killed various type of animal in sacrifices. Because of your foolishness, you do not know that devotional service is the only way one can please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You cannot understand this fact. Your only activities should be those that can please the Personality of Godhead. Our education should be such that we can become elevated to Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, beautiful. He's now right away hammering to all of us and to Prachinabari as well that on the strength of this you have become proud because you have killed various types of animals in sacrifices. Because remember the Narad Muni approaching to Prachinvari is only because he was so much attached to Karmakanda, or especially killing of animals in animal sacrifice, in the sacrifice, right? And he was thinking, I'm doing very good. So now he is just saying that, because of your foolishness, you do not know that devotional service is the only way one can please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yeah. So how Lord can be pleased is by devotional service, not by animal sacrifices. In this verse, the great sage Narada Muni directly insults the king because he has engaged in performing sacrifices that entail the killing of a great number of animals. The king was thinking that he was great for having performed so many sacrifices. But the great sage Narada directly chastises him, informing him that his animal killing only leads to his being popped off with false prestige. Actually, anything that is done which does not lead to Krishna consciousness is a sinful activity. Anything that is done which does not lead to Krishna consciousness is sinful activity. And any education that does not lead one to understand Krishna is a false education. If Krishna consciousness is missing, one is simply engaged in false activity and false educational pursuit. Bang. Okay, text 15. Harirdehavratam atma swayam prakritir ishvara tatpadamulam saranam yakshemo nirnamiha. What happens to Lord Hari? Let's see. Arohi. Okay, Kishori Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Sri Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the super soul and guide of all living entities who have accepted material bodies within this world. He is the supreme controller of all material activities in material nature. He is also our best friend and even should take shelter at his lotus feet. In doing so, one's life will be auspicious. Hare Krishna.
In Bhagavad Gita 1861, it is said, Ishvara Sarabhutanam Hrideshu Arjuna Tisthati. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart. O Arjuna, the living entity is within the body, and the super soul, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is also there. He is called Antaryami and Chaitya Guru. As Lord Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita 15:15, he is controlling everything. Sarva Sachaham Hrisanivishto Mata Smritir Jnanam Apavanacha. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. Everything is being directed by the super soul within the body. Therefore, the better of valor is to take his direction and be happy. To take his direction, one needs to be a devotee, and this is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 10.10. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam tadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. To those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give their understanding by which they can come to me. Although the super soul is in everyone's heart, Ishvara Sarabhutanam Hrideshu Arjuna Tisthati, he talks only to the pure devotees who constantly engage in his service. In Chaitanya Bhagavat, Antalila 3:45, it is said, Tahare se bali vidya mantra adhyayana Krishna pada padme je karaye sthira mana. One who has fixed his mind on the lotus feet of Krishna is to be understood as having the best education and as having studied all the Vedas. There are also other appropriate quotes from Chaitanya Bhagavat. Sei se vidyara phala janiha nishchaya Krishna pada padma jadi chitta vrittaraya. The perfect result of an education is the fixing of one's mind on lotus feet of Krishna. This is Adi Leela 13:178. Okay. दिग्विजय करिब विद्यार कार्य नाय ईश्वर भजिले से विद्या सत्य कय. Conquering the world by means of material education is not desirable. If one engages himself in devotional service, his education is perfected. पढ़े केन लोके कृष्ण भक्ति जाने बारे से यदि नाहिले तबे विद्या की करे. The purpose of education is to understand Krishna and his devotional service. If one does not do so, then education is false. Adi Leela 12:49. Chaitanya Bhagavat. तहार से बलि धर्म कर्म सदाचार ईश्वर से प्रीति जन में सम्मत सवार. Being cultured, educated, very active and religious man developing natural love for Krishna. Anthya 3:44. Everyone has dormant love for Krishna, and by culture and education that has to be awakened. So everyone has dormant love. Every living entity has a love for Krishna. But as Narad Muni started earlier, stating that the Puranjana has a Agyata friend, right? Unknown friend, that is Krishna, which is always within our heart. And that needs to be awakened. Prabhupada gives examples like a child. A child has the potential to walk. As his parents help him to walk, sometimes with kids they use walkers to walk, and he starts walking. So the child got the ability, but as soon as he's being trained, he starts walking and then running as well. So in a similar way, the love for Krishna is always there within our heart, but that's lying in as a dormant. It's as a covered. But by the culture and education about Krishna, it has to be awakened. It's like the culture is hearing and chanting. By chanting and hearing Krishna's holy name, Krishna's pastimes, hearing about Krishna pastimes, this dormant love for Krishna is awakened. And that is the purpose of this Krishna consciousness movement. Once Lord Chaitanya asked Sri Ramananda Rai what the best of education was, and Ramananda Rai replied that the best part of education is advancement in Krishna consciousness. Yeah, text 51. Savai priyatamaschatma yato na bayam anvapi iti veda savai vidvan yo vidvan sa gurur hari. Yes, Tamil Suri Mataji.
One who is engaged in devotional service has not the least fear in material existence. This is because the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the super soul and friend of everyone. One who knows this secret is actually educated, and one thus educated can become the spiritual master of the world. One who is an actually bona fide spiritual master representative of Krishna is not different from Krishna.
One who is a bona fide spiritual master is a representative of Krishna and is not different from Krishna. There are two things. Is the spiritual master is actually a representative of Krishna, and at the same time is not different from Krishna. It doesn't mean that the spiritual master is Krishna. He is a representative of Krishna because he is doing a service to Krishna. That is the understanding. Yeah. So it means that we should worship spiritual masters, bona fide spiritual master, as a representative of Krishna. It means you can worship him as his Krishna is in front of you in that way. But the spiritual master never claims himself that I am Krishna. Yeah. Srila Vishwanath Chakra Thakur says, Sakshat dharitvena samasta shastra yuktes tatha bhava eda eva sadbhi. The spiritual master is described in every scriptures as the representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The spiritual master is accepted as identical with the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he is the most confidential servant of the Lord. Kintu prabhorya priya eva tasya Mande Gurusi Charanaravindam. The purport is that both the super soul and the individual soul are very dear to everyone. Everyone loves himself, and when he becomes more advanced, he loves the super soul also. A person who is self realized does not recommend the worship of anyone but the super soul. He knows that to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead is easier than to worship various demigods under the influence of lust and the desire for material enjoyment. The devotee is therefore always engaged in the loving devotional service of the Lord. Such a person is true Guru. In Padma Purana it is said, Sat karma nipuno vipro mantra tantra visharada Avaishnava Guru Nasyat Vaishnava Sopacho Guru. Very, very, if it's a bit heavy one, but let's say it out. Even if a Brahmana is very learned in Vedic scriptures and knows the 6 occupational duties of Brahmanas, he cannot become a guru or spiritual master unless he is a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There's the first part. Avaishnava Guru Nasyat, the first part. He knows very well Satkarma, six occupational duties, like Yajana Patana. So that's all he does, the Brahmanas. But he is not a devotee of the Supreme Lord, so he cannot become a guru. Now let's do the next part of this verse. However, if one is born in a family of dog eater but is a pure devotee of the Lord, he can become a spiritual master. Vaishnava Sapacho Guru. Yeah. So the conclusion is that one cannot become a spiritual master unless he is a pure devotee of the Lord. One who is a spiritual master in accordance with the above descriptions of devotional service is to be understood as the Supreme Personality of Godhead personally present. According to the words mentioned here, Guru Hari, consulting a bona fide spiritual master means consulting the Supreme Personality of Godhead personally. One should therefore take shelter of such a bona fide spiritual master. Success in life means accepting a spiritual master who knows Krishna as the only Supreme Beloved Personality. One should worship such a confidential devotee of the Lord. Yeah, that's a bit heavy, but yeah, that's a fact about. Okay, text 52. Narada Uvacha Prasanna evam hi sanchinno bhavata purushar Atra me vadato goyam nishamaya sunishchitam. बोलना माता जी.
Hare Krishna. The great saint Narada continued, O great personality, I have replied properly about all that you have asked me. Now hear another narration that is accepted by saintly persons and is very confidential. Hare Krishna.
So from now onwards, Narada Muni is going to recite another story, which is again an allegorical story. Let's see. So Sri Narada Muni is personally acting as the spiritual master of King Bharisman. It was Narada Muni's intention that through his instructions, the king would immediately give up all engagement in fruitive activity and take to devotional service. However, although the king understood everything, he was still not prepared to give up his engagement. As the following verses will show, the king was contemplating sending for his sons who were away from home executing austerities and penances. After their return, he would entrust his kingdom to them and then leave home. This is the position of the most people. They accept a bona fide spiritual master and listen to him, but when the spiritual master indicates that they should leave home and fully engage in devotional service, they hesitate. The duty of the spiritual master is to instruct the disciple as long as he does not come to the understanding that this materialistic way of life, fruit activity, is not at all beneficial. Actually, one should take to devotional service from the very beginning of life. As Prahlad Maharaj advised, Komar acharet pragyo dharma bhagavatam iha. Bhagavatam 7.6.1. According to the all instructions of Vedas, we can understand that unless one takes to Krishna consciousness and devotional service, he is simply wasting his time engaging in the fruit activities of material existence. Narada Muni therefore decided to relate another allegory to the king so that he might be induced to give up family life within the material existence. Okay, let's see. The next story is a deer story. Shudram charam sumansam sarane mithitva raktam sadangri ganashamusho lobdha karanam agre varkan ashutrupo vaganayantam prushte mrugaya lobdhavana bhinna. Yes, Kushari Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. My dear king, please search out the deer who is engaged in eating grass in a very nice flower garden along with his wife. The deer is very much attached to his business and he is enjoying the sweet singing of the bumblebees in his garden. Just try to understand his position. He is unaware that before him is a tiger, which is accustomed to living at the cost of another's flesh. Behind the deer is a hunter who is threatening to pierce him with sharp arrows. Thus, the deer's death is imminent.
Yeah. Okay. So let us read. Here is an allegory in which the king is advised to find a deer that is always in dangerous position. Although threatened from all sides, the deer simply eats grass in a nice flower garden. Yeah, I think this will be revealed in next verses what it mean. How this deer is eating in the garden relate to the human being. Unaware of the danger all around him, the all living entities, especially the human being, think themselves very happy in the midst of families, as if living in a flower garden and hearing the sweet humming of bumblebees. Everyone is centered around his wife, who is the beauty of the family life. The bumblebee's humming may be compared to the talk of children. The human being, just like the deer, enjoys his family without knowing that before him is the factor of time, which is represented by the tiger. The fruit activities of the living entity simply create another dangerous position and oblige him to accept different types of bodies. For a deer to run after a mirage of water in the desert is not unusual. The deer is always very fond of sex. The conclusion is that one who lives like a deer will be killed in due course of time. Vedic literature Therefore, advises that we should understand our constitutional position and take to devotional service before death comes. According to Bhagavatam 11.9.29, लब्ध्वा सुदुर्लभम् इदं बहु संभवन्ते मनुष्याम् अर्थदम् अनित्यम् अपि हदीर तूर्णं यतेत न पत्येत अनुमृत्य यावन् निर्शेषस्य विषय खलौ सर्वत्र स्यात्. After many words, we have attained this human form. Therefore, before death comes, we should engage ourselves in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. That is the fulfillment of human life. Oh wow, that's an amazing verse. Verse number 54. Basically, this gives the meaning of verse number 53. Okay, let's see. I don't know what the meter for this one, but let's write it out. Sumana sama dharmanam srinam sarana ashrame पुष्प मधु गंधवत शुद्रत माम काम्य कर्म विपाकजम काम सुख लभम जयहन्त्य पस्थयादि विचिन्वताम मिथुनी भूय तद अभिनिवेशित मनसम सदांग्री घनश्याम गीतात्वत् आत्मनि मनोहर बनितदी जनालपार्श्वौ अतितराम अतिप्रलोभित कर्णम अग्रे वक्र यथात्वत् आत्मना आयुर हरतो हो रात्रांतन काल लव विशेषान अभिगणया गृहेषु विहरन्तं प्रेष्ठा एव प्रोक्षम अनुप्रवर्तो लब्ध्वा कृतान्तो नत शरेण यम इह पराविध्यति तम इमम् आत्मनम् अहो राजन् भिन्न हृदयां दृष्ट्वान् अर्हसति. Okay, let's read down. My dear king, woman who is very attractive in the beginning but in the end very disturbing is exactly like the flower, which is attractive in the beginning and detestable at the end. With woman, the living entity is entangled with lusty desires and he enjoys sex, just as one enjoys the aroma of a flower. He thus enjoys a life of sense gratification, from his tongue to his genitals, and in this way the living entity considers himself very happy in the family life. United with his wife, he always remains absorbed in such thoughts. He feels great pleasure in hearing the talks of his wife and children, which are like the sweet humming of bumblebees that collect honey from flower to flower. He forgets that before him is time, which is taking away his lifespan with the passing of day and night. He does not see the gradual diminishing of his life, nor does he care about the superintendent of death, who is trying to kill him from behind. Just try to understand this. You are in a precarious position and are threatened from all sides. Yeah, this is the meaning of verse 34. A deer is gazing on a grass and enjoying his mate in a garden of flowers that are aromatic. That's basically the man absorbed in household life. Yeah. Okay, I think we'll read purport tomorrow so that we can continue in the same context in the next few verses as well. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for joining. We'll see you tomorrow for continuing this chapter. Yeah, this is a long chapter, but summarizing the whole last 5 chapters as well. Hare Krishna. Gadraj
Hare Krishna.
Bhagavatam ki jai.
Right.